Ava is a 2020 American action thriller film directed by Tate Taylor, written by Matthew Newton and produced by Chastain's production company, Freckle Films. The film stars Jessica Chastain, John Malkovich, Common, Geena Davis, Colin Farrell, Ioan Gruffudd and Joan Chen. Ava premiered in Budapest on June 2, 2020, and in the United States through DirecTV Cinema on August 27, 2020, followed by a limited theatrical and video-on-demand release on September 25, 2020, by Vertical Entertainment. The film received generally negative reviews, but Chastain's performance received some praise. Plot: Ava Faulkner is a recovering addict and former soldier-turned-assassin. In France, she kidnaps her new target, an English businessman. Before she kills him, she questions him on why someone wants him dead. Unbeknownst to her, another woman electronically eavesdrops on the conversation. Afterwards, Ava flies to Boston, where she visits with her estranged sister Judy and her mother Bobby, who is hospitalized for angina pain. Ava has not seen them in 8 years. Ava's handler and former army superior, Duke, sends her to Saudi Arabia to kill a German general. Ava lures the general into a trap and injects him with a poison to make it appear he died of a heart attack. Having blown her cover due to a mispronunciation of a man in her backstory, she is interrupted by the general's security guards. A gunfight ensues, leaving all the men dead. Ava escapes and travels to Barneville Carteret, where Duke apologizes for the botched operation, insisting that the bad intel was a simple mistake. He gives her time off to decompress, and she returns to Boston and meets Michael, her former fiancé, who is now in a relationship with her sister Judy. In British Columbia, Duke meets with his superior, Simon. Simon's daughter Camille is the woman who had earlier eavesdropped on Ava's hit. Simon believes Ava is a liability and that her questioning of targets demonstrates insufficient commitment to their operation. After Duke leaves, Simon reaffirms the hit on Ava. She kills her attacker and then confronts Duke, who insists that it was a random attack by a drug addict. That night, Ava goes to dinner with Judy and Michael, as recommended by Ava's mother, to reconcile and patch up their differences, but their conversation does not go well. Judy abruptly leaves the table when witty banter between Ava and Michael ensues. Michael and Ava are left to chat for a while until Michael leaves as well, still visibly upset at Ava for being gone the past 8 years with no contact. At 5 o'clock in the morning, Ava is startled awake by knocking at her hotel door. It's Judy telling her Michael has gone missing. Realizing he has started gambling again, Ava denies knowing where he is to Judy. The next scene shows Ava going to rescue him from a gambling den run by a woman named Tony, to whom Michael is indebted for over $80,000. A fight ensues with Tony's guards after Ava tries to leave with Michael. Ava asks Tony to give her 36 hours to clear Michael's debt, and Tony, seeing her guards injured on the floor, begrudgingly agrees. Duke revisits Simon and reveals he knew Ava was set up. A fight ensues between the two men, resulting in Simon killing Duke. He sends a video of Duke's death to Ava. A heartbroken Ava goes to Judy's house, where she invites Michael to run away with her, but he declines, revealing that Judy is pregnant. Ava heads to Tony's den, where she kills some of her men before giving Tony a bag of money to pay off Michael's debt. Ava starts to strangle Tony, and is about to break her neck, but then changes her mind, letting her live while warning her to stay away from Michael for good. Back at her hotel, Ava is attacked by Simon. They fight, with both sustaining serious injuries. Exhausted, Simon flees when the fire alarm goes off, warning Ava that he will kill her if he sees her again. Ava pursues Simon, cornering and killing him under the Zochem Bridge. Ava goes to her sister's house, warning Judy to leave the country and giving her the number and code to an offshore bank account filled with Ava's earnings. Before she leaves, Michael gives her a letter from Duke, who says that he is happy with how his life turned out. As she walks down the street, Ava is stalked by Simon's daughter, Camille. Cast: Jessica Chastain as Ava Faulkner, John Malkovich as Duke. Common as Michael, Ava's ex-fiancé and Judy's fiancé. Geena Davis as Bobby, Ava's mother. Colin Farrell as Simon. Jess Vixler as Judy, Ava's sister. Ioan Gruffudd as Peter Hamilton, financial advisor to the International Monetary Fund. Diana Silvers as Camille, Simon's daughter. Joan Chen as Tony. Production. In August 2018, the production drew criticism due to Matthew Newton, who at the time was set to direct, having been accused of multiple allegations of assault and domestic violence. In addition to the accusations, he had also pleaded guilty to assaulting Brooke Satchwell, his then-girlfriend. 3. Jessica Chastain, a vocal advocate for the Me Too movement, was accused of hypocrisy for working with Newton. 4. Newton would ultimately step down from directing the film, with Tate Taylor hired to replace him. Newton is credited as the film's writer. 5. 6. 7. In September 2018, Colin Farrell, Common, and John Malkovich joined the cast of the film, then still titled Eve. 8. 9. In October 2018, Christopher Dominic, Diana Silvers, Geena Davis, Joan Chen, and Jess Vixler joined the cast of the film. 10. 11. 12. 13. In November 2019, it was announced the film had been retitled Ava. 14. Filming. Principal photography began on September 24, 2018, in Boston 8:15 and continued in Boston, Gloucester, and Weston, Massachusetts, in the United States. Filming locations included St. Joseph's Abbey, the Schraft Center, Wingair-Chic Beach, Worcester Regional Airport, Boston Public Market and Boston Common. 16. Release. The film was released in Hungary on July 2, 2020. 17. It was released in the United States through DirecTV Cinema on August 27, 2020, followed by video on demand on September 25, 2020, by Vertical Entertainment. 18. 19. 20. It received a DVD and Blu-ray release in Australia on September 2, 2020, by Madman Entertainment. 21. 22. It began streaming on Netflix on December 6, 2020. 23. It was the third most watched film on the site on its first day of release and finished first in its second day. 24. It went on to become the top streamed film over its first weekend. 25. Reception. Box office and VOD. In Hungary, the film made $31,820 from 59 theaters in its opening weekend, finishing first at the box office. The film grossed a total of $3.3 million worldwide. 2. In its debut weekend in the US, Ava was the most rented film on Apple TV and Google Play, and second on Fandango Now. 26. In its second weekend the film topped Apple TV, Google Play, and Spectrum, and remained second at Fandango Now. IndieWire described the performance of Ava as the best showing for a non-premium title in the 6 months we've covered weekly VOD performance. 27. Critical response. On Rotten Tomatoes, the film holds an approval rating of 18% based on 39 reviews, with an average rating of 4.3/10. The website's critics' consensus reads, Ava seems to have all the components of an entertaining spy thriller, but not even this spectacular cast is enough to salvage the dull, cliched story they're given to work with. 28. On Metacritic, the film has a weighted average score of 39 out of 100, based on 9 critics, indicating generally unfavorable reviews. 29. Guy Lodge of Variety wrote that the film provides an adequate showcase for its producer star's unexpected prowess as an action hero, yet Matthew Newton's skimpy, dialogue cliché script makes the whole enterprise feel more like a mid-range series pilot than a major star vehicle. 30. Writing for The Hollywood Reporter, Boyd Van Hoech said that Chastain is utterly convincing in another tough-as-nails role. If audiences stick with the movie, it's largely thanks to her movie star charisma, which almost compensates for the increasingly ridiculous plot. Malkovich and Farrell seem to understand they are A-list talent in B-movie roles, and relish the opportunity. Jessica Michelle Chastain, born March 24, 1977, is an American actress and producer. Known for primarily starring in projects with feminist themes, she has received various accolades, including an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award, in addition to nominations for a Primetime Emmy Award, 2 Tony Awards and 2 British Academy Film Awards. Time magazine named her one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2012. Chastain developed an interest in acting from an early age and made her professional stage debut in 1998 as Shakespeare's Juliet. After studying acting at the Juilliard School, she worked on television and stage. After making her film debut at age 31 in the drama Jolene, 2008, Chastain had her breakthrough in 2011 with 6 film releases, including the dramas Take Shelter, 2011, and The Tree of Life, 2011. She received Academy Award nominations for playing an aspiring socialite in the period drama The Help, 2011, and a CIA analyst in the thriller Zero Dark 30, 2012. Greater commercial success came with the science fiction films Interstellar, 2014, and The Martian, 2015, and the horror film It Chapter 2, 2019. Chastain received further acclaim for playing strong-willed women in the dramas A Most Violent Year, 2014, Miss Sloane, 2016, and Molly's Game, 2017, and the television miniseries Scenes from a Marriage, 2021. She went on to portray Tammy Faye Bakker in the biopic The Eyes of Tammy Faye, 2021, winning the Academy Award for Best Actress, and Tammy Wynette in the miniseries George and Tammy, 2022. On Broadway, Chastain has starred in revivals of The Heiress, 2012, and A Doll's House, 2023. The latter earned her a nomination for the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play. She is the founder of the production company Freckle Films, which was created to promote diversity in film, and is an investor in the soccer club Angel City FC. Chastain is vocal about mental health issues, as well as gender and racial equality. She is married to fashion executive Gianluca Passi di Preposolo, and they have 2 children. Early life and education. Jessica Michelle Chastain was born on March 24, 1977, in Sacramento, California. 123 to Jerry Renee Hasty, née Chastain, and rock musician Michael Monasterio. 4-5 Her parents were both teenagers when she was born. Chastain is reluctant to publicly discuss her family background. She was estranged from Monasterio, who died in 2013, and has stated that no father is listed on her birth certificate. 4-5 Chastain has 2 sisters and 2 brothers. Her younger sister, Juliet, died by suicide in 2003 following years of drug addiction. 6 Chastain was raised in Sacramento by her mother and stepfather, Michael Hasty, a firefighter. 2-7 Her family struggled financially. 8 Chastain has said that her stepfather was the first person to make her feel secure. 5 She shares a close bond with her maternal grandmother, Marilyn, and credits her as someone who always believed in me. 7-9 A picture of the Alice Tully Hall building at the Juilliard School in New York City, taken from across the street. The Juilliard School in New York City, where Chastain studied acting. Chastain developed an interest in acting at age 7, after her grandmother took her to a production of Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. 2 She would regularly put on amateur shows with other children, and considered herself to be their artistic director. 7 As a student at El Camino Fundamental High School in Sacramento, Chastain struggled academically. 4-10 She was a loner and considered herself a misfit in school, eventually finding an outlet in the performing arts. 11 She has described how she used to miss school to read Shakespeare. 12 Whose plays she became enamored with after attending the Oregon Shakespeare Festival with her classmates. 13 With too many absences during her senior year in school, Chastain did not qualify for graduation, but later obtained an adult diploma. 10. She later attended Sacramento City College from 1996 to 1997, during which she was a member of the institution's debate team. 14. Describing her early childhood, she recalled, "I grew up with a single mother who worked very hard to put food on our table. We did not have money. There were many nights when we had to go to sleep without eating. It was a very difficult upbringing. Things weren't easy for me growing up." 15. In 1998, Chastain finished her education at the American Academy of Dramatic Arts and made her professional stage debut as Juliet in a production of Romeo and Juliet staged by TheatreWorks, a company in the San Francisco Bay Area. 16, 17, 18. The production led her to audition for the Juilliard School in New York City, where she was soon accepted and granted a scholarship funded by actor Robin Williams. 7-10. In her first year at the school, Chastain suffered from anxiety and was worried about being dropped from the program, spending most of her time reading and watching films. 7-18. She later remarked that her participation in a successful production of The Seagull during her second year helped build her confidence. 18. She graduated from the school with a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree in 2003. 18. In 2025, Chastain announced she was enrolled in a mid-career Master of Public Administration program at the Harvard Kennedy School. 19. Career. 2004 to 2010, early work. Shortly before graduating from Juilliard, Chastain attended an event for final-year students in Los Angeles, where she was signed to a talent-holding deal by the television producer John Wells. 20. She relocated to Los Angeles and started auditioning for jobs. 20. She initially found the process difficult, which she believed was due to other people finding her difficult to categorize as a redhead with an unconventional look. 21. In her television debut, the WB Network's 2004 pilot remake of the 1960s Gothic soap opera Dark Shadows, she was cast as Carolyn Stoddard. 22. The pilot was directed by P.J. Hogan, but the series was never picked up for broadcast. 22. Later that year, she appeared as a guest performer on the medical drama series ER, playing a woman she described as psychotic, which led to her getting more unusual parts such as accident victims or characters with mental illness. 2021. She went on to appear in such roles in a few other television series from 2004 to 2007, including Veronica Mars, 2004, Close to Home, 2006, Blackbeard, 2006, and Law and Order, Trial by Jury, 2005, 06. 23. A shot of Jessica Chastain as she looks away from the camera. Chastain at the 2010 Mill Valley Film Festival. In 2004, Chastain took on the role of Anya, a virtuous young woman, in a Williamstown Theater Festival production of Anton Chekhov's play The Cherry Orchard in Massachusetts, starring with Michelle Williams. 24. Also that year, she worked with Playwrights Horizons on a production of Richard Nelson's Rodney's Wife as the daughter of a troubled middle-aged film actor. Her performance was not well received by the critic Ben Brantley of the New York Times, who thought that she somehow seems to keep losing color as the evening progresses. 25. While working on the play, she was recommended by Nelson to Al Pacino, who was looking for an actress to star in his production of Oscar Wilde's tragedy Salome. 20. The play tells the tragic story of its titular character's sexual exploration. In the play, Salome is a 16-year-old, but Chastain, aged 29 then, was cast for the part. 26. The play was staged in 2006 at the Wadsworth Theater in Los Angeles, and Chastain later remarked that it helped bring her to the attention of several casting directors. 26. 27. Writing for Variety, the critic Stephen Oxman criticized her portrayal in the play. Chastain is so ill at ease with Salome, not quite certain whether she's a capable seductress or a whiny, wealthy brat, she doesn't flesh out either choice. 27. Chastain made her film debut in 2008 as the titular character in Dan Ireland's drama Jolene, based on a short story by E.L. Doctorow inspired by Dolly Parton's song Jolene. 28 It follows the life of a sexually abused teenager over the course of a decade. Chastain's performance was praised by a reviewer for the New York Observer, who considered her as the only notable aspect of the production. 29 She won a Best Actress award at the Seattle International Film Festival. 31 In 2009, she had a minor role in Stolen, 2009, a mystery thriller film with a limited theatrical release. 33 Also in 2009, she played the part of Desdemona in the public theater production of Shakespeare's tragedy Othello, co-starring John Ortiz as the title character and Philip Seymour Hoffman as Iago. 34 Writing for The New Yorker, Hilton ALS commended Chastain for finding a beautiful maternal depth in her role. 35. In 2010, Chastain starred in John Madden's dramatic thriller The Dead, portraying a young Mossad agent sent to East Berlin in the 1960s to capture a former Nazi doctor who carried out medical experiments in concentration camps. 36 She shared her role with Helen Mirren, with the two actresses portraying the character at different phases of her life. 36 They worked together before filming to perfect the voice and mannerisms of the character and make them consistent. Chastain took classes in German and Krav Maga, and studied books about the Nazi Dr. Joseph Mengele and Mossad history. 36 William Thomas of Empire termed the film a smart, tense, well-acted thriller, and noted that Chastain pulses with strength and vulnerability in her part. 37 She also appeared as Mary Debenham in an episode of the British television series Agatha Christie's Poirot, based on Agatha Christie's 1934 novel Murder on the Orient Express. 38. 2011 to 2013, Breakthrough and Rise to Prominence. Jessica Chastain smiles for the camera. Chastain attending the premiere of Coriolanus at the 2011 Berlin International Film Festival. After struggling for a breakthrough in film, Chastain had 6 releases in 2011 and received wide recognition for several of them. 2039 The first of the roles was as the wife of Michael Shannon's character in Jeff Nichols' Take Shelter, a drama about a troubled father who tries to protect his family from what he believes is an impending storm. The film was screened at the 2011 Sundance Film Festival, and critic Tim Roby of the Daily Telegraph noted how much Chastain's supporting part aided the narrative. 40 In Coriolanus, an adaptation of the Shakespearean tragedy from actor-director Ralph Fiennes, she played Virgilia. 41 Her next role was opposite Brad Pitt, as the loving mother of 3 children in Terrence Malick's experimental drama The Tree of Life, which she had filmed in 2008. 42-43 Chastain signed onto the film without receiving a traditional screenplay from Malick, and she improvised several scenes and dialogues with Pitt. 44 She considered her part to be the embodiment of grace and the spirit world. In preparation, she practiced meditation, studied paintings of the Madonna, and read poems by Thomas Aquinas. 44 The film premiered at the 2011 Cannes Film Festival to a polarized reception from the audience, though it was praised by critics and won the Palme d'Or. 45 The critic Justin Chang termed the film a hymn to the glory of creation, an exploratory, often mystifying, poem, and credited Chastain for playing her part with here-trending vulnerability. 46. Chastain's biggest success of the year came with the drama The Help, co-starring Viola Davis, Octavia Spencer, and Emma Stone, which was based on Catherine Stockett's novel of the same name. She played Celia Foote, an aspiring socialite in 1960s Jackson, Mississippi, who develops a friendship with her black maid, played by Spencer. Chastain was drawn to Foote's anti-racist stand, and connected with her energy and enthusiasm. In preparation, she watched the films of Marilyn Monroe and researched the history of Tunica, Mississippi, where her character was raised. 47 The Help grossed $216 million at the box office to become her most widely seen film to that point. 48-49 Manala Dargis of the New York Times praised the chemistry between Chastain and Spencer, and Roger Ebert credited her for being unaffected and infectious. 50 The ensemble of The Help won the Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Cast, and Chastain received Academy, BAFTA, Golden Globe, and SAG Award nominations for Best Supporting Actress, all of which she lost to Spencer. 751-52. Chastain's final two roles of the year were in Wild Salome, a documentary based on her 2006 production of Salome 53, and the critically panned crime thriller Texas Killing Fields. 54. Her film roles in 2011, particularly in The Help, Take Shelter, and The Tree of Life, won her awards from several critics' organizations. 55. Two of Chastain's films in 2012 premiered at the 65th Cannes Film Festival: the animated comedy Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted, and the crime drama Lawless. 56. In the former, which marked the third installment in the Madagascar series, she voiced Gia the Jaguar with an Italian accent. 57. With global revenues of $747 million, the film ranks as her highest-grossing release. 58. 49. In Lawless, based on Matt Bondurant's Prohibition-era novel The Wettest County in the World, she played a dancer who becomes embroiled in a conflict between three bootlegging brothers, played by Shia LaBeouf, Tom Hardy, and Jason Clarke. 59. The film received generally positive reviews, with Richard Corliss finding Chastain to be filled with poised, seductive gravity. 60-61. In an experimental biopic of the author C.K. Williams, entitled The Color of Time, 2012, directed by the New York University students of actor James Franco, she played the mother of the young Williams. 62-63. Jessica Chastain smiles while she gently looks away from the camera. Chastain at the 2012 Cannes Film Festival, where two of her films, Madagascar 3, Europe's Most Wanted, and Lawless, were screened. A short part Chastain had filmed for Terrence Malick's To the Wonder, 2012, was edited out of the final film, and due to scheduling conflicts, she dropped out of the action films Oblivion and Iron Man 3, both 2013. 64. She instead made her Broadway debut in a revival of the 1947 play The Heiress, playing the role of Catherine Sloper, a naive young girl who transforms into a powerful woman. 65. Chastain was reluctant to take the role, fearing the anxiety she had faced during her early stage performances. 65. She ultimately agreed after finding a connection to Sloper, explaining, "She's painfully uncomfortable and I used to be that." 65. The production was staged at the Walter Kerr Theatre from November 2012 to February 2013. 66. Ben Brantley of the New York Times was disappointed in Chastain's performance, writing that she was over-signaling the thoughts within and that her delivery of dialogue was sometimes flat. 66. The Heiress emerged as a sleeper hit at the box office. 67. Kathryn Bigelow's thriller Zero Dark 30 was Chastain's final film release of 2012. It is a partly fictionalized account of the nearly decade-long manhunt for Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden after the September 11 attacks in 2001. She played Maya Harris, a CIA intelligence analyst who helps kill bin Laden. Chastain was unable to meet the intelligence analyst on whom her character was based, so she relied on the research done by the film's screenwriter Mark Boal. 68. The difficult subject matter made it unpleasant for her to film. She suffered from depression during production, and once walked off the set in tears because she was unable to continue. 68. Zero Dark 30 was critically acclaimed, albeit controversial for its scenes of torture that were shown providing useful intelligence in the search for bin Laden. 69-70. Roger Ebert took note of Chastain's versatility, and likened her ability and range to that of Meryl Streep. 71. Peter Travers of Rolling Stone wrote, "Chastain is a marvel. She plays Maya like a gathering storm in an indelible, implosive performance that cuts so deep we can feel her nerve endings." 72. She won the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Drama and received Academy, BAFTA, and SAG nominations for Best Actress. 773. Chastain took on the lead role of a musician who is forced to care for her boyfriend's troubled nieces in the horror film Mama, 2013, directed by Andy Muschietti. She was drawn to the idea of playing a woman drastically different from the perfect mother roles she had previously played, and she based her character's look on the singer Alice Glass. 22 The critic Richard Roper considered her performance to be proof of her being one of the finest actors of her generation. 74 During the film's opening weekend in North America, Chastain became the first performer in 15 years to have leading roles in the top two films, Mama and Zero Dark 30, at the box office. 75 She then starred as the titular character of a depressed woman who separates from her husband, played by James McAvoy, following a tragic incident in the drama The Disappearance of Eleanor Rigby, 2013, which she also produced. 76 The writer-director Ned Benson initially wrote the story from the perspective of Rigby's husband, then wrote a separate version from Rigby's perspective at the insistence of Chastain. 77 Three versions of the film Him, Her, and Them were released. 77-78 It did not find a wide audience. 79 But the critic A.O. Scott praised Chastain for short-circuiting conventional distinctions between tough and vulnerable, showing exquisite control even when her character is losing it, and keeping her balance even when the movie pitches and rolls toward melodrama. 80. 2014 to 2020, Career Fluctuations and Expansion. A shot of Jessica Chastain smiling away from the camera. Chastain attending the premiere of Miss Julie at the 2014 Toronto International Film Festival. Chastain appeared in 3 films in 2014. She played the titular character in Miss Julie, a film adaptation of August Strindberg's 1888 play of the same name, from director Liv Ullmann. 81 It tells the tragic tale of a sexually repressed Anglo-Irish aristocrat who wishes to sleep with her father's valet, Colin Farrell. 82 She was drawn to Ullmann's feminist take on the subject. 83 The film only received a limited theatrical release. 84 While filming Miss Julie in Ireland, she received the script for Christopher Nolan's science fiction film Interstellar, 2014. 85 With a budget of $165 million, the high-profile production, co-starring Matthew McConaughey and Anne Hathaway, was filmed mostly using IMAX cameras. 86-87 Chastain played the adult daughter of McConaughey's character. She was drawn to the project for the emotional heft she found in the father-daughter pair. 88 Drew McWeeny of HitFix took note of how much Chastain had stood out in her supporting role. 89 Interstellar grossed over $701 million worldwide to rank as her highest-grossing live-action film to date. 49-86 In her final release of 2014, Chastain starred in the J.C. Chandler-directed crime drama A Most Violent Year. Set in New York City in 1981, the year in which the city had the highest crime rate, the film tells the story of a heating oil company owner, Oscar Isaac, and his ruthless wife, Chastain. 90 In preparation, she researched the period and worked with a dialect coach to speak in a Brooklyn accent. 91 She collaborated with the film's costume designer to work on her character's wardrobe, and contacted Armani, which provided her with clothing of the period. 91 Mark Kermode of The Observer found Chastain to be terrific in a part inspired by Lady Macbeth's character, and Nicolas of the San Francisco Chronicle described her portrayal as the embodiment of a nouveau riche New York woman of the era. 92-93 She received a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress nomination for it. 94 For her work in 2014, the Broadcast Film Critics Association honored Chastain with a Special Achievement Award. 95 In 2015, Chastain took on the part of a commander in Ridley Scott's science fiction film The Martian. Starring Matt Damon as a botanist who is stranded on Mars by a team of astronauts commanded by Chastain's character, the film is based on Andy Weir's novel of the same name. Chastain met with astronauts at the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and the Johnson Space Center, and modeled her role on Tracy Caldwell Dyson, with whom she spent time in Houston. 96 The Martian became her second film to gross over $600 million in 2 consecutive years. 49-97 Chastain next starred as a woman who plots with her brother, Tom Hiddleston, to terrorize his new bride, Mia Wasikowska, in Guillermo del Toro's gothic romance Crimson Peak. She approached the villainous part with empathy, and in preparation read Graveyard Poetry and watched the films Rebecca, 1940, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane? 1962. 96 Del Toro cast Chastain to lend accessibility to a part he considered psychopathic, but Peter DeBrugge of Variety found her alarmingly miscast and criticized her for failing to effectively convey her character's insecurity and ruthlessness. 96-98 Conversely, David Sims of Slate praised her for portraying her character's jealous intensity to the hilt. 99. After playing a series of intense roles, Chastain actively looked for a light-hearted part. 100 She found it in the ensemble fantasy film The Huntsman, Winter's War, 2016, which served as both a sequel and a prequel to the 2012 film Snow White and the Huntsman. She was drawn to the idea of playing a warrior whose abilities were on par with those of the male lead, but the film flopped both critically and commercially. 101 Chastain next starred as the titular character, a lobbyist, in the political thriller Miss Sloane, which reunited her with John Madden. 102 She read the novel Capital Punishment by disgraced former lobbyist Jack Abramoff to research the practice of lobbying in America, and met with female lobbyists to study their mannerisms and sense of style. 103 Hailing her as one of the best actresses on the planet, Peter Travers commended Chastain for successfully drawing the audience into Sloane's life, and Justin Chang termed her performance a tour de force of rhetorical precision and tightly coiled emotional intensity. 105 She received a Golden Globe nomination for Best Actress in a Drama. 106 Also in 2016, Chastain launched the production company Freckle Films, headed by a team of female executives. 107. Chastain at the 2016 Cannes Film Festival. Chastain began 2017 by serving as the executive producer and providing the narration for I Am Jane Doe, a documentary on sex trafficking. 108 In an effort to work with more female filmmakers, Chastain starred in 2 projects directed by women: Nikki Caro's The Zookeeper's Wife and Susanna White's Woman Walks Ahead. 109 In the former, an adaptation of Diane Ackerman's non-fiction book of the same name, she co-starred with Johan Heldenberg as the real-life Polish zookeepers Jan and Antonina Zabinski, who saved many human and animal lives during World War II. 110 The film received mixed reviews, but Stephen Holden took note of how Chastain's watchful, layered performance empowered the film. 112 Woman Walks Ahead tells the story of the 19th century activist Catherine Weldon, who served as an advisor to the Sioux chieftain Sitting Bull prior to the Wounded Knee massacre. She was interested in portraying a role that young girls could look up to for inspiration, and provided off-screen inputs to avoid a white savior narrative. 113. Chastain portrayed Molly Bloom, a former skier who ran a high-profile gambling operation that led to her arrest by the FBI, in Aaron Sorkin's directorial debut, Molly's Game, 2017. She took the part due to her desire to work with Sorkin, whose writing she admired. 114 Instead of relying on Bloom's public persona, she met Bloom personally to explore her character's flaws and vulnerabilities. She also researched the world of underground poker and interviewed some of Bloom's customers. 114 Peter DeBrugge hailed her role as one of the screen's great female parts, and credited its success to both Sorkin's script and Chastain's stratospheric talent. 115. She received her 5th Golden Globe nomination for it. 116 In 2018, she hosted an episode of the television sketch comedy show Saturday Night Live and voiced the virtual reality production Spheres, Songs of Space-Time. 118 She had filmed a part in Xavier Dolan's ensemble drama The Death and Life of John F. Donovan, but her scenes were deleted from the final cut as Dolan found her role incompatible to the story. 119. In the superhero film Dark Phoenix, 2019, which marked the 12th installment in the X-Men series, Chastain took on the role of an evil alien due to its focus on female characters. 120 Peter Bradshaw of The Guardian considered it to be a waste of her talents, and the film registered poor box office returns. 122 She redeemed with Andy Muschietti in It Chapter 2, the sequel to his 2017 horror film It, based on Stephen King's novel. She played the adult Beverly Marsh, a woman in an abusive marriage, sharing the role with Sophia Lillis. Filming proved challenging for Chastain, as Muschietti preferred the usage of practical effects to computer-generated imagery. One particular scene required her to be covered in 4,500 US gallons, 17,000 liters, of fake blood. 124 The film received favorable reviews, with Charlotte O'Sullivan of the Evening Standard finding Chastain to be suitably sad and sepulchral in her role. 126 It grossed over $470 million worldwide. 127. Under Freckle Films, Chastain produced and starred in the action film Ava, 2020, written and initially set to be directed by Matthew Newton, who has been accused of domestic violence. Following backlash against her for agreeing to work with him, Newton was replaced with Tate Taylor. 129 Boyd Van Hoge of The Hollywood Reporter bemoaned that Chastain's talents as an action star had been wasted in an underwhelming film. 130 Released theatrically during the COVID-19 pandemic, it performed poorly at the box office but gained success on video on demand. 131. 2021, present, award success and television. Andrew Garfield and Chastain starred as the televangelists Jim and Tammy Faye Bakker in the biopic The Eyes of Tammy Faye, 2021. She acquired the rights to Faye's life in 2012, and produced the film under her company Freckle Films. 132 To look like Bakker, Chastain wore prosthetic makeup which took 4 to 7 hours to apply. 133 The role also required her to sing, which she has said made her nervous. 134 She worked with the music producer Dave Cobb to record 7 songs for the film's soundtrack. 132 David Fear of Rolling Stone found Chastain to be the only reason to see this curiously tepid biopic and praised her for rising above the script to humanize Bakker. 135 Kevin Marr of The Times considered it to be a riveting, unleashed, and award-worthy performance and compared it to Joaquin Phoenix's performance in Joker, 2019. 136 She won the Academy Award for Best Actress, Critics' Choice Award and SAG Award, in addition to a Golden Globe nomination. 137 138. Chastain at the 75th Tony Awards in 2022. Also in 2021, Chastain agreed to Scenes from a Marriage, a gender-switched remake of Ingmar Bergman's 1973 Swedish miniseries of the same name for HBO, for its subversion of stereotypical portrayal of women. 139 140 Lucy Mangan of The Guardian took note of the chemistry between Chastain and her co-star Oscar Isaac, as did Carol Midgley of The Times, who praised them for delivering crackling, wounding dialogue faultlessly. 141 142 143 She received a nomination for the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress in a Miniseries, her second nomination at that year's ceremony. 138 She also redeemed with Ralph Fiennes in The Forgiven, an adaptation of the novel of the same name by Lawrence Usborne. 144 145. For the 355, 2022, a female-led spy film, Chastain and her team of female co-stars pitched the idea to prospective buyers at the 2018 Cannes Film Festival, where it was picked up by Universal Pictures. 146 Critics dismissed the film as generic and unremarkable, and it failed commercially. 147 148 Chastain then took on a brief role as Marianne Trump in James Gray's period film Armageddon Time. 149 In The Good Nurse, she played night nurse Amy Luffren, who discovers that her co-worker Charles Cullen, played by Eddie Redmayne, is a serial killer. 150 She worked closely with Lufrin and attended nursing school to prepare for the part. 151 Kate Erbland of IndieWire found hers to be an effective performance in a very quiet package. 152 Chastain executive produced the Showtime biographical miniseries George and Tammy, in which she played the country singer Tammy Wynette opposite Michael Shannon's George Jones. 153 154 In preparation, Chastain and Shannon trained with a vocal coach to sing several of their characters' songs. She also lost weight to play Wynette toward the end of her life. 155 Emma Fraser of the Playlist was appreciative of the chemistry between the actors, and took note of the fragility and toughness in Chastain's portrayal. 156 She won a SAG Award, received another Golden Globe nomination, and earned her first nomination for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Lead Actress in a Limited Series. 157 158 159 Chastain returned to Broadway theater, playing Nora Helmer, an unhappy housewife, in Jamie Lloyd's 2023 revival of Henrik Ibsen's play A Doll's House, which ran for 16 weeks at the Hudson Theatre. 160 Initially set for West End Theatre in 2020, the production was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and later relocated to New York on Chastain's insistence. 161 162 The production was extended 1 week due to the strong box office sales of the preview performances. 163 Gloria Oladipo of The Guardian deemed Chastain's performance enthralling and captivating, adding that a fuller, infinite portrait is painted of the longtime heroine through Chastain's work. 164 She won the Drama Desk Award for Outstanding Lead Performance in a Play and received a nomination for the Tony Award for Best Actress in a Play. 165 166 Chastain played a recovering alcoholic in Michel Franco's independent drama film Memory, co-starring Peter Sarsgaard. 167 She was pleased to take on the low-profile project and shopped at Target herself for her character's clothes. 168 De Brugge noted that Chastain's never appeared more vulnerable on screen playing a morally divisive character. 169 Chastain and Hathaway reunited in Mother's Instinct, 2024, a remake of the Belgian psychological thriller of the same name, which Chastain also produced. 170 As a close friend of Hathaway, she found it challenging to play a character that's antagonistic towards Hathaway's. 171 She redeemed with Michel Franco in Dreams, a drama about a rich American woman's relationship with an undocumented Mexican immigrant, which premiered at the 2025 Berlinale. Chastain said that she had to distance herself from her personal politics to play the part. 172 IndieWire's Ryan Lattanzio was appreciative of her playing an against-type, largely unsympathetic role. 173 Chastain will next executive produce and star in the Apple TV Plus miniseries The Savant, based on the true story of an investigator who infiltrates online hate groups. 174 She will also reunite with Pacino in Lear Rex, an adaptation of Shakespeare's King Lear, playing Goneril. 175 She will also star in the upcoming supernatural horror film Mother Mommy directed by Rob Savage, based on the 2024 novel Incidents Around the House by Josh Malerman. 176 Advocacy. Chastain at the 2017 Cannes Film Festival, where she served as a jury member. Chastain identifies as a feminist, and has often spoken out against the discrimination faced by women and minorities in Hollywood. 177 178 179 She penned an essay on gender imbalance in the industry for a December 2015 issue of The Hollywood Reporter. 180 At the 2017 Cannes Film Festival, where she served as a jury member, Chastain bemoaned the passive portrayal of women in most films. 181 182 She has complained about a lack of female film critics, which she believes hinders a gender-neutral perspective on film. 182 She advocates for greater gender balance on sets, including more representation of women on film crews and in positions of power. 183 On social media, Chastain aims to amplify the voices of victims of sexual harassment in the industry. 184 In 2018, she collaborated with 300 women in Hollywood to set up the Time's Up initiative to protect women from harassment and discrimination. 185 In the same year, she appeared alongside several actresses in This Changes Everything, a documentary about the poor representation of women in Hollywood films. 186 She is also a LGBT rights activist. Most notably, when she had won the Academy Award for Best Actress in 2022, she voiced her support for the community she loved, and called out bigoted legislation against them. 187 188 189 Chastain is a vocal advocate for equal pay in the workplace, and turns down offers of work whose salaries she finds unfair. 190 She spoke out in support of actress Michelle Williams, who was paid less than her co-star Mark Wahlberg for the 2017 film All the Money in the World, a gesture which Williams said led to greater awareness of the issue and a donation worth $2 million to the Time's Up Legal Defense Fund. 191 In 2013, Chastain lent her support to the Got Your Six campaign, to help empower veterans of the United States Army, and in 2016, she became an advisory board member to the organization We Do It Together, which produces films and television shows to promote women empowerment. 192 193 In 2017, she featured alongside several Hollywood celebrities in a theatrical production of the children's monologues, in which she performed a monologue as a 13-year-old girl who is raped by her uncle. The event raised funds for Dramatic Need, a charity that helps African children pursue a career in the arts. 194 In 2020, Chastain became an investor in a Los Angeles-based franchise for the National Women's Soccer League. 195 The new team has since been named Angel City FC. 196 Chastain supports charitable organizations that promote mental health, and is involved with the non-profit organization To Write Love on Her Arms. 197 Teased as a child for having red hair and freckles, she takes a stand against body shaming and bullying. 11 Chastain has campaigned for access to affordable reproductive health care for women, and in 2017, Variety honored her for her work with Planned Parenthood. 198 In response to abortion bans in certain American states, she joined several actors in refusing to work in those regions. 199 In 2022, Chastain traveled to Kiev in Ukraine during Russia's invasion of the country. She visited a children's hospital and met with President Volodymyr Zelensky and head of the presidential administration Andriy Yermak. 201 Chastain has lent her support to the 2023 SAG-AFTRA strike. After receiving an interim agreement waiver from the organization, she attended the premiere of her film Memory at the 2023 Venice International Film Festival wearing a t-shirt affirming her support. 202 Reception and acting style. Describing Chastain's off-screen persona, Roy Porter of InStyle magazine wrote in 2015 that she's an adult, which isn't always a given in Hollywood. Unconsciously candid with her answers, she retains a sense of perspective uncommon among her peers, and has real opinions. Porter also credited her for being the rare actress who is all about the craft. 43 Evgenia Peretz, an editor at Vanity Fair, finds Chastain the most sensitive and empathetic actor she has interviewed. 203 Chastain specializes in portraying emotionally grueling roles and is drawn to parts of strong but flawed women. 204 205 The journalist Sanjeev Bhattacharya has identified a theme of characters who subvert gender expectations in some way. 190 David Ehrlich of IndieWire credits her for being the sole American actress to consistently play roles that champion feminist ideals. 206 She believes in extensive preparations for a role, I fill myself up with as much history of the character as I can. 207. The film critics Roger Ebert and Richard Roeper have praised Chastain's versatility 71-74 and W Magazine credits her for avoiding typecasting. 9. Chastain at the 2015 Empire Awards. Guillermo del Toro, who directed Chastain in Crimson Peak, believes that she is interested in being chameleonic, and that she brings authenticity even to bizarre situations. 208 Sophie Hewood of The Guardian believes that Chastain's ability to bring very little ego to her roles renders her unrecognizable to the audience. 7 Sarah Carmely of Harper's Bazaar opines that she goes for total immersion, sinking so deep into character that her face seems to change shape with each one. 205 Lee Goldman of Marie Claire has compared her craft to that of Meryl Streep and Cate Blanchett, and writes that she values her craft over her looks. 12 Michelle Franco, who directed her in Memory, called Chastain the best actress in the world. 209 Describing her film career in 2017, Ben Dickinson of Elle wrote, "With her often haunted-looking eyes, pale complexion, and gorgeous red mane, she can project everything from Icy Hauteur, The Martian, Miss Sloane, to Loving Warmth, The Tree of Life, The Zookeeper's Wife, or an unstable equilibrium and high intelligence in between, Zero Dark 30 and a Most Violent Year." 210. The journalist Tom Schoen describes Chastain as being excessively luscious with pale Botticelli features wrapped around a bone structure that has a touch of the masculine, right down to the cleft in her chin. 211. She was named the sexiest vegetarian actress in a poll conducted by PETA in 2012. 212 From 2012 to 2014, she was featured in Ask Men's listing of the most desirable women 213, and in 2015, Glamour magazine ranked her as one of the best dressed women. 214. Time magazine named Chastain one of the 100 most influential people in the world in 2012. 215 That same year, she was invited to join the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, and she endorsed an Yves Saint Laurent fragrance called Manifesto. 216 217 In 2015, she became the global ambassador for the Swiss jewelry and watchmaking company Piaget, and in 2017, she was made the face of Ralph Lauren's fragrance campaign, named Woman. 218 219 For the latter, she led an initiative called Lead Like a Woman, and featured in a short film named Leading with Intensity, 2019, made by an all-female cast and crew. 220 In 2024, she became the global ambassador for Damiani, an Italian luxury jewelry corporate group that designs, manufactures, distributes and sells jewelry and luxury watches. 221. Personal life. Despite significant media attention, Chastain remains guarded about her personal life, and chooses not to attend red carpet events with a partner. 222 204 She considers herself to be a shy person, and in 2011 expressed a preference for domestic routines like dog walking and playing ukulele over partying. 223 Chastain has cited the actress Isabelle Huppert as an influence, for managing a family, while also playing out their roles on screen. 224. She is an animal lover, and has adopted a rescue dog. 204 Raised by a vegan chef mother. 225 Chastain was a pescatarian for much of her life before health troubles prompted her to begin practicing veganism. 204 She is an investor in Beyond Meat, a meat substitutes company. 226. In the 2000s, Chastain was in a long-term relationship with writer-director Ned Benson that ended in 2010. 227 In 2012, she began dating Gianluca Passi di Priposolo, an Italian count of the Passi di Priposolo noble family, who is an executive for the fashion brand Moncler. 204 On June 10, 2017, Chastain married Priposolo at his family's estate in Carbonera, Italy. 228 in 2018, the couple had a daughter through surrogacy. 229 230 they later had a son. 139 they reside in New York City. John Gavin Malkovich, born December 9, 1953, is an American actor. He is the recipient of several accolades, including a Primetime Emmy Award, in addition to nominations for 2 Academy Awards, a BAFTA Award, 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and 3 Golden Globe Awards. Malkovich started his career as a charter member of the Steppenwolf Theater Company in Chicago in 1976. He moved to New York City, acting in a Steppenwolf production of the Sam Shepard play True West, 1980. He made his Broadway debut as Biff in the revival of the Arthur Miller play Death of a Salesman, 1984. He directed the Harold Pinter play The Caretaker, 1986, and acted in Lanford Wilson's Burn This, 1987. Malkovich has received 2 Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor nominations for his performances in Places in the Heart, 1984, and In the Line of Fire, 1993. Other films include The Killing Fields, 1984, Empire of the Sun, 1987, Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, Of Mice and Men, 1992, Con Air, 1997, Rounders, 1998, Being John Malkovich, 1999, Shadow of the Vampire, 2000, Ripley's Game, 2002, Johnny English, 2003, Burn After Reading, 2008, and Red, 2010. He has also produced films such as Ghost World, 2001, Juno, 2007, and The Perks of Being a Wallflower, 2012. For his work on television he received the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Limited Series or Movie for Death of a Salesman, 1985. His other Emmy-nominated roles were for portraying Herman J. Mankiewicz in RKO 281, 1999, and Charles Talleyrand in Napoleon, 2002. Other television roles include in Crossbones, 2014, Billions, 2018-19, The New Pope, 2020, and Space Force, 2020-2022. Early life and education. Malkovich was born in Christopher, Illinois, on December 9, 1953. He grew up in Benton, Illinois. His father, Daniel Leon Malkovich, was a state conservation director, who published the conservation magazine Outdoor Illinois. His mother, Joan Chen, owned the Benton Evening News daily newspaper and Outdoor Illinois. 234 He grew up with an older brother, Danny, and 3 younger sisters, Amanda, Rebecca, and Melissa. In a May 2020 interview, he revealed that Melissa is his only surviving sibling. 5, 6, 7 His paternal grandparents were immigrants from Croatia from the vicinity of Ozil. J 8, 9, 10, 11 His other ancestry includes English, Scottish, French, and German descent. Malkovich attended Logan Grade School, Webster Junior High School, and Benton Consolidated High School. During his high school years, he appeared in various plays and the musical Carousel. He was also active in a folk gospel group, with whom he sang at churches and community events. As a member of a local summer theater project, he co-starred in Jean-Claude Van Itali's America Hurrah in 1972. Citation needed. After graduating from high school in 1972, Malkovich enrolled at Eastern Illinois University. He then transferred to Illinois State University, where he majored in theater, but dropped out. 12 He studied acting at the William Esper Studio. 13. Career. In 1976, Malkovich, along with Joan Allen, Gary Sinise, and Glenn Headley, became a charter member of the Steppenwolf Theater Company in Chicago. 2 He moved to New York City in 1980 to appear in a Steppenwolf production of the Sam Shepard play True West directed by Sinise, for which he won an Obie Award. 14. One of his first film roles was as an extra alongside Alan, Terry Kinney, George Wendt, and Laurie Metcalf in Robert Altman's film May Wedding, 1978. In early 1982, he appeared in A Streetcar Named Desire with Chicago's Wisdom Bridge Theater. Malkovich then directed a Steppenwolf co-production, the 1984 revival of Lanford Wilson's Bomb in Gilead, for which he received a second Obie Award and a Drama Desk Award. 14 other Steppenwolf productions in which Malkovich has appeared include The Glass Menagerie by Tennessee Williams, directed by H. E. Backus, 1979, Burn This by Lanford Wilson, directed by Marshall W. Mason, 1987, and The Libertine by Stephen Jeffries, directed by Terry Johnson, 1996. 15. He made his feature film debut as Sally Field's blind boarder Mr. Will in Places in the Heart, 1984. For his portrayal of Mr. Will, Malkovich received his first Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. He also portrayed Al Rockoff in Roland Joffe's epic film The Killing Fields, 1984. Malkovich in 1994. His Broadway debut that year was as Biff in Death of a Salesman alongside Dustin Hoffman as Willie. Malkovich won an Emmy Award 16 for this role when the play was adapted for television by CBS in 1985. He continued to have steady work in films such as Empire of the Sun, directed by Steven Spielberg, and the film adaptation of Tennessee Williams's The Glass Menagerie, both 1987, directed by Paul Newman, who appeared in the film, and Joanne Woodward. He then starred in Making Mr. Right, also 1987, directed by Susan Seidelman. Malkovich gained significant critical and popular acclaim when he portrayed the sinister and sensual Valmont in the film Dangerous Liaisons, 1988, a film adaptation of the stage play Les Liaisons Dangereuses by Christopher Hampton 17, who had adapted it from the 1782 novel of the same title by Pierre Coderlos de Laclos. He later reprised this role for the music video of Walking on Broken Glass by Annie Lennox. 18. He played Port Moresby in The Sheltering Sky, 1990, directed by Bernardo Bertolucci, and appeared in Shadows and Fog, 1991, directed by Woody Allen. In 1990, he recited, in Croatian, verses of the Croatian national anthem Ljubna naša domovino, Our Beautiful Homeland, in Nenad Bach's song Can We Go Higher? 19. Malkovich starred in the 1992 film adaptation of John Steinbeck's novella of Mice and Men as Lenny alongside Gary Sinise as George. He was nominated for another Oscar, again in the Best Supporting Actor category, for In the Line of Fire, 1993. He was the narrator for the film Alive, 1993, and starred in The Man in the Iron Mask, 1998. Malkovich has hosted 3 episodes of the NBC sketch show Saturday Night Live. The first occasion was in January 1989 with musical guest Anita Baker, the second in October 1993 with musical guest Billy Joel, and special appearance by former cast member Jan Hooks, and the third in December 2008 with musical guest T.I. with Swizz Beatz, and special appearances by Justin Timberlake, Molly Sims, and Jamie Lynn Sigler. Malkovich at the Portrait of a Lady, 1996, premiere. Malkovich was directed for the second time, after Dangerous Liaisons, by Stephen Frears in Mary Riley, 1996, a new adaptation of the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde tale, co-starring Julia Roberts. 20. Malkovich also appeared in The Messenger, the story of Joan of Arc, 1999, directed by Luc Besson, playing the French king to be Charles VII. Though he played the title role in the Charlie Kaufman penned Being John Malkovich, 1999, he played a slight variation of himself, as indicated by the character's middle name of Horatio. Malkovich's directorial film debut, The Dancer Upstairs, was released in 2002. That same year Malkovich made a cameo appearance in Adaptation. He played Patricia Highsmith's antihero Tom Ripley in Ripley's Game, also 2002, the second film adaptation of Highsmith's 1974 novel,
the first being Wim Wenders' 1977 film The American Friend. 21. Malkovich's other film roles include The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, 2005, Aragon, 2006, Beowulf, Color Me Kubrick, both 2007, Changeling, 2008, Red, Secretariat, both 2010, Transformers, Dark of the Moon, 2011, and Red 2, 2013. 22. In 2000, Malkovich was approached to play Green Goblin in Spider-Man, 2002, but he passed due to scheduling conflicts and Willem Dafoe was cast in the role. 23. In 2001, film director Michael Cimino had also approached Malkovich to star in his never-filmed 3-hour-long epic of André Malraux's Man's Fate, alongside Johnny Depp, Uma Thurman, Daniel Day-Lewis, and Alain Delon. 24. In 2009, Malkovich was approached and then cast for the role of the Marvel Comics villain Vulture in the unproduced Spider-Man 4. 25. Malkovich played the title role in the film The Great Buck Howard, 2008, a role inspired by mentalist The Amazing Kreskin. Colin Hanks co-starred and his father, Tom Hanks, appeared as his on-screen father. In November 2009, Malkovich appeared in an advertisement for Nespresso with fellow actor George Clooney. He portrayed Quentin Turnbull in the film adaptation of Jonah Hex, 2010. 26. Malkovich in 2014 was the voice actor of the villainous Dave the Octopus in Penguins of Madagascar. In 2008, Malkovich directed in French a theater production of Good Canary Fr written by Zach Helm, with Christiane Reilly and Vincent Elbaz in the leading roles, at the Comédie Theatre in Paris. 15. Malkovich won the Molière Award for Best Director for it. He wrote and acted in the infernal comedy, Confessions of a Serial Killer 15, directed by Michael Sturmingerde, that toured many countries and venues between 2010 and 2013, including at the Deutsches Schauspielhaus in Hamburg, Germany, in May 2010. 27. This was an operatic production, about the life of the Austrian serial killer Jack Unterweger. 15. In 2011, he directed Julian Sands in a celebration of Harold Pinter in the Pleasance Courtyard, Edinburgh, for the Edinburgh Festival Fringe. 28. 29. In 2012, he directed a production of a newly adapted French-language version of Les Liaisons Dangereuses for the Théâtre de l'Atelier in Paris. 30. The production had a limited engagement in July 2013 at the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts in New York City. 31. Malkovich in 2015. He returned to theater, directing Good Canary in Spanish in Mexico, then in English at the Rose Theatre in London in 2016. Elon Goodman, Harry Lloyd, and Freya Mavor were in the cast. Malkovich won the Milton Schulman Award for the Best Director at the Evening Standard Theatre Awards in 2016. 32-33. He appeared in Just Call Me God in Hamburg in March 2017. 15. Malkovich wrote and starred in a movie called 100 Years, 2016, directed by Robert Rodriguez. The movie is locked in a vault in the south of France, not to be seen before 2115. 34. In 2018, Malkovich appeared in a 3-part adaptation of Agatha Christie's The ABC Murders, co-starring Rupert Grint for BBC Television, playing the role of fictional Belgian detective Hercule Poirot. 35. In 2019, Malkovich performed in London's West End at the Garrick Theatre, starring in David Mamet's new play Bitterweed. 36. He also starred as the title character in the HBO drama series The New Pope, 2020. 37. On September 26, 2019, it was announced that Malkovich had been cast as Dr. Adrian Mallory in the Netflix comedy series Space Force. 38. Malkovich's production of George Bernard Shaw's Arms and the Man, set during the Serbo-Bulgarian War, attracted protests from Bulgarian nationalists at its November 2024 premiere at the Ivan Vazov National Theatre in Sofia. The protesters,
who included members of the Union of Bulgarian Writers and right-wing political parties and movements, crowded the entrance, waving Bulgarian flags and held a banner which said "Malkovich, go home." 39 Malkovich characterized the protests as not a very smart idea and rebuffed the suggestion that he had come to work in Bulgaria in order to denigrate the country's reputation. 39. Works and performances. Main article, John Malkovich on stage and screen. Fashion design. Malkovich created his own fashion company, Mrs. Mudd, in 2002. 40. The company released its John Malkovich menswear collection, Uncle Kimono, in 2003. 41, which was subsequently covered in the international press. 42, and its second clothing line, Techno Bohemian, in 2011. 43. Malkovich designed the outfits himself. 44. In an interview with Big Issue in 2024, Malkovich said that he stopped doing fashion about 6-7 years ago but still enjoys seeing collections by the great fabric designers. 40. Frequent collaborators. Malkovich was directed many times by Chilean director Raúl Ruiz. Le Temps Retrouvés, Time Regained, 1999, Les Ames Fortes, Savage Souls, 2001, Klimt, 2006, 45 and Lines of Wellington, 2012. In 2008, directed by Austrian director Michael Sturminger, he portrayed the story of Jack Unterweger in a performance for one actor, two sopranos, and period orchestra entitled Seduction and Despair, which premiered at Barnum Hall in Santa Monica, California. 46. A fully staged version of the production, entitled The Infernal Comedy, premiered in Vienna in July 2009. The show has since been performed in 2009 through 2012 throughout Europe, North America, and South America. 47. Malkovich was also directed by Sturminger in Casanova's Variations and its movie adaptation in 2014, co-starring Fanny Ardant. 48. For their third collaboration, in 2017, Michael Sturminger directed Malkovich in Just Call Me God, The Final Speech, in which he played a third world dictator called Saturdinum Cha, who is about to be overthrown. 49. He frequently worked with Julian Sands. 50. Malkovich has collaborated with Lithuanian actress Ingeborga Dapkūnaitė on many productions. By April 2023, there had been 9, and he has called her his oldest, closest colleague. 51. In 1992-52 they both appeared in the Steppenwolf production of A Slip of the Tongue. 51, which later played in Shaftesbury Avenue in London, directed by Simon Stokes. 53. 15. She also appeared in Libra, a play directed and adapted by Malkovich about Lee Harvey Oswald. 52. And, in January 2011, she appeared with him in the Giacomo Variations at the Sydney Opera House, as part of the Sydney Festival. 54. 15. In April 2023, Dapkūnaitė acted alongside Malkovich in the Solitude of Cotton Fields in Tallinn, Estonia. 51. In the media. In 2014, the photographer Sandro Miller recreated 35 iconic portraits of John Malkovich as the subject, in a project called Malkovich, 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 Homage to Photographer Master. 55. Malkovich starred in his first video game role in Call of Duty, Advanced Warfare in the Exo-Zombies mode. 56. In 1992, he appeared in period costume along with Hugh Laurie in the music video for Walking on Broken Glass by Annie Lennox. In 2015, he appeared in the music video for Eminem's single Phenomenal. In 2017, he appeared in some humorous Super Bowl commercials portraying himself attempting to gain control of the johnmalkovich.com domain. 57. Personal life. Malkovich in 2009. Malkovich married actress Glenn Headley in 1982. In 1988, the couple divorced following his affair with Michelle Pfeiffer. 58-59. He began dating Nicoletta Perrin in 1989 after meeting her on the set of The Sheltering Sky, on which she was the second assistant director.
The couple have 2 children, Amandine and Louis. 60. Malkovich has a distinctive voice quality, which The Guardian has described as wafting, whispery, and reedy. 60. He does not consider himself a method actor. 61. Malkovich is fluent in French, having lived and worked in theater in southern France for nearly 10 years. He and his family left France in a dispute over taxes in 2003. 62. And have since lived in Cambridge, Massachusetts. 63. Malkovich is the co-owner of the restaurant Bica do Sapato and Lux nightclub in Lisbon. 64. He lost millions of dollars in the Madoff investment scandal in 2008. 65. 66. In the 1990s, Malkovich and Perrin bought a farm near Lacoste, Vaucluse 9, which the couple later turned into a wine label named Les Quelles de Lacoste. They started planting grapevines there in 2008. 67. And produced their first vintage in 2011. 68. 69. He has raised funds for the Steppenwolf Theatre Company, his sole charity. 70. Malkovich stated in a 2011 interview that he is not a political person and that he does not have an ideology, revealing that he had not voted since George McGovern lost his presidential run in 1972. 71. At the Cambridge Union Society in 2002, when asked whom he would most like to fight to the death, Malkovich replied that he would rather just shoot journalist Robert Fisk and politician George Galloway, stating that Galloway was not honest. Journalists speculated that the comment was related to criticism of Israel and the war in Iraq. 72. 73. When asked in an interview with the Toronto Star in 2008 whether having spiritual beliefs was necessary to portray a spiritual character, he said, "No, I'd say not. I'm an atheist. I wouldn't say I'm without spiritual belief particularly, or rather, specifically. Maybe I'm agnostic, but I'm not quite sure there's some great creator somehow controlling everything and giving us free will. I don't know, it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me." 74. On June 6, 2013, Malkovich was walking in Toronto when a 77-year-old man named Jim Walpole tripped and accidentally cut his throat on a piece of scaffolding. Malkovich applied pressure to Walpole's neck to reduce bleeding before Walpole was rushed to a hospital, where he received stitches and later credited Malkovich with saving his life. Lonnie Rashid Lynn, born March 13, 1972, known professionally as Common, formerly known as Common Sense, is an American rapper and actor. The recipient of 3 Grammy Awards, an Academy Award, a Primetime Emmy Award, and a Golden Globe Award, he signed with the independent label Relativity Records at the age of 20. The label released his first 3 studio albums, Can I Borrow a Dollar? 1992, Resurrection, 1994, and One Day It'll All Make Sense, 1997. He maintained an underground following into the late 1990s, and achieved mainstream success through his work with the black music collective Soulquarians. 2. After attaining a major label record deal, he released his 4th and 5th albums, Like Water for Chocolate, 2000, and Electric Circus, 2002, to continued acclaim and modest commercial response. 3. He guest performed on fellow Soulquarian, Erykah Badu's 2003 single, Love of My Life, an ode to hip-hop, which yielded his highest entry, at number 9, on the Billboard Hot 101 Best R&B Song at the 45th Annual Grammy Awards. 4. He signed with fellow Chicago rapper Kanye West's record label Good Music, in a joint venture with Geffen Records to release his 6th and 7th albums Be, 2005, and Finding Forever, 2007, both were nominated for Best Rap Album Grammys, while the latter became his first to debut atop the Billboard 200 and contained the song Southside, featuring Kanye West, the recipient of Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group at the 50th Annual Grammy Awards. His 8th album, Universal Mind Control, 2008, was met with a critical decline and served as his final release with Good. Common's label imprint, Think Common Entertainment, was founded in 2011 and entered a joint venture with Warner Brothers. Records to release his ninth album, The Dreamer/The Believer, 2011, and later No I.DSARTM Recordings, an imprint of Def Jam Recordings to release his 10th album, Nobody's Smiling, 2014. Both received critical praise and further discussed social issues in Black America. His 11th album, Black America Again, 2016, saw widespread critical acclaim and served as his final release on a major label. 5-6. Lin won the Academy Award for Best Original Song for his song Glory, with John Legend, which he released for the film Selma, 2014, wherein he co-starred as civil rights leader James Bevel. His other film roles include Smokin' Aces, 2006, Street Kings, 2008, American Gangster, 2007, Wanted, 2008, Date Night, 2010, Just Right, 2010, Happy Feet 2, 2011, Run All Night, 2015, John Wick, Chapter 2, 2017, and Smallfoot, 2018. In television, he starred as Elam Ferguson in AMC Western series Hell on Wheels from 2011 to 2014, and has played a supporting role in the Apple TV Plus science fiction series Silo since 2023. His song Letter to the Free was released for the Ava DuVernay-directed Netflix documentary 13th, 2017, for which he won the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Original Music and Lyrics. He made his Broadway acting debut on the play Between Riverside and Crazy, 2023, which won a Pulitzer Prize for Drama. 7. Early life and education. Lonnie Rashid Lynn 8-9-10 was born on March 13, 1972, at the Chicago Osteopathic Hospital in Chicago's Hyde Park neighborhood. He is the son of educator and former principal of John Hope College Preparatory High School, Mahalia and Hines, and former ABBA basketball player turned youth counselor Lonnie Lynn. 11 Lynn shares the same first name as his father, grandfather, great-grandfather, and great-great-grandfather. 12 He is known by his middle name, Rashid, to his family and friends. 13 Lynn's godfather is basketball player Spencer Haywood, who was a teammate of his father on the Denver Rockets. 12. Lynn was raised in the Calumet Heights neighborhood. 14, 15, 16, 17 His father left the family because of his drug and alcohol addictions while Lynn was young. 12 When he was aged 2, Lynn's father attempted to take him and his mother to Seattle, where he had arranged a tryout with the Seattle Supersonics. 12 His father was arrested when the family stopped at a motel in Wisconsin and charged with false imprisonment. 18. Lynn's parents divorced when he was 6 years old, resulting in his father moving to Denver, Colorado. This left Lynn to be raised by his mother. However, his father remained active in his life, and was able to get him a job with the Chicago Bulls as a teenager. Lynn attended Florida A&M University, FAMU, for 2 years under a scholarship and majored in business administration. 19 In the School of Business and Industry. 20. Music career. Common's music has embraced several styles, including Midwestern hip-hop, neo-soul 21 and progressive rap. 22. 1987 to 1996, career beginnings. Lynn began rapping in the late 1980s, while a student at Luther High School South in Chicago, when he, along with 2 of his friends, formed CDR, a rap trio that opened for acts such as NWA and Big Daddy Kane. 23 When C.D.R. dissolved by 1991, Lynn began a solo career under the stage name of Common Sense. 24 After being featured in the unsigned hype column of The Source magazine, he debuted as a solo artist in 1992 with the single Take It Easy, followed by the album Can I Borrow a Dollar? Citation needed. With the 1994 release of Resurrection, Common Sense achieved a much larger degree of critical acclaim which extended beyond the Chicago music scene. Citation needed. The album sold relatively well and received a strong positive reaction among alternative and underground hip-hop fans at the time.
Resurrection was Common Sense's last album, produced almost entirely by his longtime production partner, No ID, who would later become a mentor to a young Kanye West. Citation needed. In 1996, Common Sense appeared on the Red Hot Organization's compilation CD, America is Dying Slowly, AIDS, alongside Biz Markie, Wu-Tang Clan, and Fat Joe, among many other prominent hip-hop artists. Citation needed. The CD, meant to raise awareness of the HIV/AIDS epidemic among African American men, was heralded as a masterpiece by The Source magazine. Citation needed. He would later also contribute to the Red Hot Organization's Fela Kuti tribute album, Red Hot and Riot, in 2002. He collaborated with Jalimity Townkara on a remake of Kuti's track, Years of Tears and Sorrow. Citation needed. Common performing with Mos Def in 1999. The song I Used to Love Her from Resurrection ignited a feud with West Coast rap group West Side Connection. The lyrics of the song criticized the path hip-hop music was taking, using a metaphor of a woman to convey hip-hop 25, and were interpreted by some as directing blame towards the popularity of West Coast gangsta rap. West Side Connection first responded with the 1995 song West Side Slaughterhouse, with the lyrics Used to Love Her, mad cause I'd her. West Side Slaughterhouse also mentioned Common Sense by name, prompting the rapper to respond with the scathing Pete Rock-produced attack song The Bitch in You. Common Sense and West Side Connection continued to insult each other back and forth before finally meeting with Louis Farrakhan and setting aside their dispute. Following the popularity of Resurrection, Common Sense was sued by an Orange County-based reggae band with the same name, and was forced to shorten his moniker to simply Common. 26. 1996 to 1999, One Day It'll All Make Sense. Initially scheduled for an October 1996 release, Common released his third album, One Day It'll All Make Sense, in September 1997. The album took a total of 2 years to complete and included collaborations with artists such as Lauryn Hill, De La Soul, Q-Tip, Cannabis, Black Thought, Shantae Savage, and Questlove, a future fellow member of the Soulquarians outfit. The album, which made a point of eschewing any gangsterism, in response to questions about his musical integrity, was critically acclaimed and led to a major label contract with MCA Records. In addition to releasing One Day, Common's first child, daughter Amoyi Acidulin, was born shortly after the release of the album. As documented by hip-hop journalist Raquel Cepeda, in the liner notes for the album, this event had a profound spiritual and mental effect on Common and enabled him to grow musically while becoming more responsible as an artist. She writes, Rashid found out that he was going to become a daddy in about 8 months. Stunned and confused, Rashid had life-altering decisions to make with his girlfriend, Kim Jones. The situation led to the composition of his favorite cut on One Day, that offers a male slant on abortion. Retrospect for Life, produced by James Poyser and No ID featuring Lauryn Hill, who was due on the same day as Rashid's girlfriend, is the song that is the driving force behind the project. Rashid listens to Retrospect for Life today at the mastering session, geeked as if it were for the first time. He tells me as we listen to El Boogie wail the chorus, when I listen to the song now, I think about how precious her, Amoyi's, life is. Common addresses family ethics several times on One Day, and the album sleeve is decorated with old family photos, illustrating the rapper's childhood, as well a quote from 1 Corinthians 13:11, which summarizes the path to manhood. When I was a child, I talked like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I put childish ways behind me. 1999 to 2003, Soulquarians era. Common in New York City, 2003. Following One Day, Common signed a major label record deal with MCA Records and relocated from Chicago to New York City in 1999. He began recording almost exclusively with a loose collective of musicians and artists, dubbed the Soulquarians by central figure Questlove, throughout 1999,
and made a few sporadic guest appearances on the Roots' Things Fall Apart, and the Raucous Records compilation, Sound Bombing 2. In 2000, his fourth album, Like Water for Chocolate, was released to mass critical acclaim. Executive produced by Questlove and featuring significant contributions by J Dilla, who helmed every track except Cold Blooded, Ghetto Heaven Part 2, A Song for Asada, Pop's Rap Part 3, All My Children, and the DJ Premier produced track The Sixth Sense. Like Water for Chocolate transpired to be a considerable commercial breakthrough for Common, earning the rapper his first gold record, and greatly expanding his fan base among critics and listeners alike. With both artists hailing from the Great Lakes region of the United States, Chicago and Detroit, respectively, Common and J Dilla established their chemistry early on. Both became members of the Soulquarians collective, and collaborated on numerous projects together, even placing one song, Thelonious, on both the Slum Village album Fantastic, Volume 2, and Common's Like Water for Chocolate. As Dilla's health began to decline from the effects of lupus nephritis, he relocated to Los Angeles, and asked Common to make the move with him as a roommate. Dilla would later lose his battle with the rare disease. 27. This album saw Common exploring themes, musically and lyrically, which were uncommon for a hip-hop record, as he does on the song Time Travelin', a tribute to Fela, a homage to Nigerian music legend, and political activist Fela Kuti. The most popular single from the album The Light was nominated for a Grammy Award. In 2002, Common released his fifth album, Electric Circus. The album was highly anticipated and praised by many critics for its ambitious vision. However, it was not as commercially successful as his previous album, Like Water for Chocolate, selling under 300,000 copies. An eclectic album, Electric Circus featured fusions of several genres such as hip-hop, pop, rock, electronic, and neo-soul. The album's style tended to divide critics. Some praised its ambitious vision while others criticized it for the same reason. Most of the criticism tended to revolve around the album's experimental nature. Some felt Common had strayed too far from his previous sound. This was Common's second and last album for MCA, and the label's final release prior to its absorption into Geffen Records. Around this time, Common appeared as a guest performer on singer and fellow Soulquarian Bilal's Love for Sale album, recording a remake of the 1977 Fela Kuti song Sorrow, Tears and Blood. 28 Bilal also featured on Electric Circus, the first of many future collaborations with Common. 29. 2004 to 2011, Good Music Era. In early 2004, Common made an appearance on fellow Chicago and Kanye West's multi-platinum debut album, The College Dropout, on the song Get 'Em High, and announced his signing to West's then newfound label Good Music. West had been a longtime fan of Common, and the two even participated in a friendly on-air MC battle, where West took jabs at his lyrical idol for going soft and wearing crochet pants, as he does for his appearance in the video for the Mary J. Blige song Dance For Me. The pair worked together on Common's next album, Be, almost entirely produced by Kanye West, with some help from Common's longtime collaborator James Yancey, J Dilla, also a favorite of West. The album was released in May 2005, and performed very well, boosted by Kanye's involvement and the singles The Corner, and Go. Be earned Common the second gold record of his career, with sales topping out at around 800,000 copies. The Source magazine gave it a near-perfect 4.5 mic rating, XXL magazine gave it their highest rating of XXL, and All Hip Hop gave the album 4 stars. The album was also nominated for 4 Grammy Awards in 2006. Common in 2006. Following the release of Be in 2005, several mixed-race artists from the UK hip-hop scene took exception to Common's comments about interracial relationships on the song Real People. Ioan, Doc Brown, and Rising Sun recorded a track over an instrumental version of The Corner named Dear Common, The Corner dub. Common states that he has heard of the track but never actually taken the time to listen to it. and has not retaliated in song. 30. Common's 7th LP titled Finding Forever was released on July 31, 2007. For this album, he continued his work with Kanye West, as well as other producers such as will.i.am, Devo Springsteen, Derek Hodge, and Kareem Riggins, as well as the only J Dilla produced track, So Far To Go. The album features guest spots from artists such as Dweel, Bilal, D'Angelo, and UK pop starlet Lily Allen. The first single from the album was The People B/W The Game. West predicted that Finding Forever would win the 2008 Grammy Award for Best Rap Album. 31. The album was nominated for Best Rap Album, but did not win, losing to West's Graduation. However, Common did win his second Grammy for Southside, which won the 2008 Grammy for Best Rap Performance by Duo or Group. On July 31, 2007, Common performed a free concert in Santa Monica, California, on the 3rd Street Promenade to promote the release of Finding Forever. Common explained to the audience that the title Finding Forever represented his quest to find an eternal place in hip-hop and also his wishes to be an artist for the rest of his life. The album debuted at number 1 on the national Billboard 200 charts. In an August 2007 interview with XXL, rapper Q-Tip of the group A Tribe Called Quest stated that he and Common were forming a group called The Standard, and were planning to record an album to be produced by Q-Tip. However, this never came to fruition. 32. Common was instrumental in bridging the transatlantic gap by signing UK's Mr. Wong and J2K to Kanye West's Getting Out Our Dreams recording outfit. Common met the pair during his tour in the UK earlier on in the year. It is speculated that the deal is not only to bring the UK and US hip-hop genres together but that to rival Psycho Music's cross-Atlantic success with Leona Lewis. He also has a deal with Zune MP3 players. In 2008 Common made an estimated $12 million, making him equal in earnings to Eminem and Akon, tied for the 13th highest grossing hip-hop artist. Citation needed. Common performing at Storvega in Copenhagen, Denmark, in 2007. The 8th album from Chicago hip-hop artist Common was originally scheduled to be released on June 24, 2008, under the name Invincible Summer, but he announced at a Temple University concert that he would change it to Universal Mind Control. 33. The release date was pushed back to September 30, 2008, due to Common filming Wanted. The release date was set for November 11, 2008, however, it was once again pushed back to December 9, 2008. The album's eponymous lead single Universal Mind Control was officially released on July 1, 2008, via the US iTunes Store as part of the announcement EP, sold as Universal Mind Control EP in the UK. The song features Pharrell, who also produced the track. The announcement EP included an additional track titled Announcement, also featuring Pharrell. The video for the lead single was filmed in September by director Hype Williams. In 2009, Common was prominently featured throughout his Good Music label mate Kid Cudi's debut album Man on the Moon, The End of Day, as a narrator and featured artist. In late 2009, it was revealed Common was nominated for 2 Grammys at the 52nd Annual Grammy Awards, including Best Rap Performance by a Duo or Group for Make Her Say, alongside Kid Cudi and Kanye West, as well as Best Rap Album for Universal Mind Control. 2011, present, Think Common and The Dreamer / The Believer and feud with Drake. American producer No ID stated that he and Kanye West would be producing Common's album The Dreamer / The Believer. 34. In July 2011, it was announced that No ID would be the album's sole producer. 35. Common made an appearance on the Jonas Brothers' most recent album, Lines, Vines, and Trying Times as a guest rapper for the group's 2009 song, Don't Charge Me for the Crime. 36. On July 6, 2011, Common released his first single, titled Ghetto Dreams, from his next album. A second single, Blue Sky, was released on October 4, 2011. On December 20, 2011, Common released his 9th solo album, titled The Dreamer, The Believer. Although he left Good Music in 2011, Common was featured on the label's first compilation album, 2012's Cruel Summer. Common released a song entitled Sweet, from The Dreamer / The Believer, which included lyrics critical of rappers who sing, although this criticism was not aimed specifically at Canadian recording artist Drake. 37 Drake took offense and responded by releasing Stay Schemin', a song with Rick Ross and French Montana. 38 Common fans only had to wait 2.5 days for him to respond to Drake's diss track. On February 13, 2012, Common commented on the feud by saying it's over. But it was all in the art of hip-hop. He said some things to me, so I had to say some things back. I wouldn't say he started it, but I know I heard something that I felt was directed to me, so I addressed it. That's all. But you know, thank God we were able to move forward from it and all is good. 39. RDM recordings and further albums. After a quiet 2012, Common announced he would release an extended play, EP, in January 2013, and his first mixtape in April. 40 In February 2013, Common announced his 10th solo studio album would be released in September 2013 and will feature Kanye West and production from Kanye West and No ID. 40 Later on September 8, 2013, he gave an update to his projects saying the previously announced EP would be released soon, and would feature a song with new Def Jam signee Vince Staples. He also told Hip Hop DX, his 10th solo studio album would be released in early 2014. 41. On January 6, 2014, Common announced his 10th studio album to be titled Nobody's Smiling and would be produced entirely by longtime collaborator No I.D. The album, which Common revealed was originally going to be an EP, is set to feature Vince Staples, James Fauntleroy, and some new artists from Chicago. The concept of the album was inspired by his troubled hometown of Chicago. We came up with this concept, Nobody's Smiling. It was really a thought that came about because of all the violence in Chicago, he says. It happens in Chicago, but it's happening around the world in many ways. He continues, we was talking about the conditions of what's happening, when I say nobody's smiling. But it's really a call to action. 42 43 44. On June 4, 2014, it was announced Common signed a recording contract with Def Jam Recordings and No I.D's RDM Records. 45. It was also announced Nobody's Smiling would be released July 22, 2014. 45. Lonnie Pops Lynn was to be featured on this album as well, but the recording fell through as Lonnie's health declined. A recording was indeed made and is in process of being released on Dirty Laboratory Productions featuring production by Awareness. In 2016, Common released his 11th studio album titled Black America, again under Def Jam Recordings. The album featured guest appearances by Stevie Wonder, Bilal, Marsha Ambrosius, BJ the Chicago Kid, John Legend, PJ, Sid, Elena and Tasha Cobbs. The album was primarily produced by Kareem Riggins alongside many other contributors including Robert Glasper. In 2018, Common also announced he would be forming a jazz group called August Green with Kareem Riggins and Robert Glasper. Shortly after this announcement, an August Green album was released through a partnership with Amazon Music. The album featured guest vocals, credited and uncredited, by male singer Samora Pinder Hughes and featured award-winning singer Brandy Norwood on two songs titled Optimistic and Time respectively. On August 30, 2019, Common released his 12th solo studio album titled Let Love. The album was released by Loma Vista Recordings and Concord Records. The album features guest appearances from Samora Pinder Hughes, Daniel Caesar, Swizz Beatz, Likely 47, BJ the Chicago Kid, A-Track, Jill Scott, Leon Bridges, and Jonathan McReynolds, and production of the album was primarily handled by Kareem Riggins, and the song titled Her Love, feat. Daniel Caesar, was produced by Jay Dilla.
In 2020, Common released a 9-track album titled A Beautiful Revolution PT1. The album features female singer PJ on 7 tracks and also features guest vocals from Black Thought and Lenny Kravitz. In 2021, he released a sequel album, A Beautiful Revolution PT2, which features guest vocals from Jessica Chastain, PJ, Black Thought, Seun Kuti, Marcus King, Isaiah Sharkey, Brittany Howard, and Morgan Parker. Production of both albums was handled primarily by longtime collaborator Kareem Riggins, with various other producers credited as session musicians. 46. On August 1, 2023, Common was featured in Men's Health's Hip Hop 50th Anniversary Edition alongside Method Man, Wiz Khalifa, Ludacris, Busta Rhymes, and 50 Cent. 47. In 2024, it was announced that Common would be releasing a collaborative album with Pete Rock titled The Auditorium Volume 1, and released the album's first single, Wise Up. 48. The album has since been nominated for Rap Album of the Year at the Grammys and has accumulated millions of streams on Spotify. Other work. Acting. In 2003, Common appeared on the American UPN sitcom Girlfriends. In the episode Take This Poem and Call Me in the Morning, he appeared as Omar, a slam poet who competes with fellow poet Sivad, played by Saul Williams, for the affection of Lynn Searcy, played by Persia White. He also had a cameo appearance on an episode of UPN's One-on-One, where he played a drama class instructor named Darius. He also made an appearance on the ABC show Scrubs. In 2007, Common appeared with Ryan Reynolds, Jeremy Piven, and Alicia Keys in the crime film Smokin' Aces, making his big screen debut as villainous mob enforcer Sir Ivy. He appeared alongside Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe, the RZA, and T.I. in the 2007 crime thriller American Gangster. On January 20, 2007, 1 week before the opening of Smokin' Aces, he appeared in a Saturday Night Live sketch as himself. The show's host was Piven, his Aces co-star. In 2007, Common played the role of Smokin' Aces co-star Alicia Keys' boyfriend in the music video Like You'll Never See Me Again. In 2008, he had a supporting role in the film adaptation of the comic book Wanted alongside Morgan Freeman and Angelina Jolie. Common also appeared in the film Street Kings with Keanu Reeves, Hugh Laurie, The Game, and Forest Whitaker. Common also starred in the 2010 movie Just Right as a basketball player who falls in love with his physical therapist Queen Latifah. 49. He appeared in the 2009 film Terminator Salvation as John Connor's Lieutenant Barnes. 50. In 2009, Common was cast as Jon Stewart/Green Lantern in the unproduced film Justice League, Mortal. Common starred as a corrupt cop in the 2010 comedy Date Night with Steve Carell and Tina Fey. He was also featured in the role of deployed soldier Chino in 2011's New Year's Eve, the husband of Halle Berry's character, Nurse Amy. He was part of the ensemble cast of AMC's Hell on Wheels, as one of the lead characters, Elam Ferguson, a recently freed slave trying to find his place in the world. 51. In 2013, Common played the role of Agent Evans, an FBI agent in Now You See Me along with Mark Ruffalo, Jesse Eisenberg, Woody Harrelson, Isla Fisher, and Dave Franco. In the 2014 film Selma, for which he also co-wrote the Oscar-winning song Glory, Common co-starred as 1960s civil rights movement leader James Bevel. In 2015, he played a hitman in Run All Night. Common appeared as a gangster in the 2016 film Suicide Squad, directed by David Ayer and part of the DC Extended Universe. 52. In December 2015, Common appeared in the NBC TV special The Wiz Live, as the bouncer guarding the Emerald City. In 2016, he co-starred in the film Barbershop, The Next Cut, alongside former rival Ice Cube. In February 2017, he appeared alongside Keanu Reeves again, this time as professional hitman/bodyguard Cashin in John Wick, Chapter 2.
In August 2017, Common began voicing Kiberi the crocodile in Disney Junior's The Lion Guard. 53. Common played opposite Mary Elizabeth Winstead in Eva Vivace's debut feature, All About Nina, which had its world premiere at the 2018 Tribeca Film Festival. It was a major, breakout role for which he has received much critical acclaim, Variety's Peter de Brugge calling his performance easily the strongest of the half-dozen supporting roles he's had this year. 54. That same year, he appeared as Rear Admiral John Fisk in the action thriller film Hunter Killer. 55. In 2018, Common starred in the film adaptation of The Hate U Give, playing star's Uncle Carlos, a black police officer that is forced to defend his colleague that is involved in the shooting of a black teen. 56. In September 2022, it was announced that Common would make his Broadway debut in second stage theaters between Riverside and Crazy in the winter of 2022. 57. Film production. On October 27, 2015, Common signed a 2-year deal with HBO that allowed to start his own film production company, Freedom Road Productions. 58-59 He stated in an interview in February 2012 that one of his big career goals was to start his own film production company. 60. In 2016 Common also worked with Amazon Studios and American Girl, serving as an executive producer for the direct-to-video feature An American Girl Story, Melody 1963, Love Has to Win. 61. Modeling and clothing. In 2006, Common was a model for photos of the Gap's fall season collection, appearing on posters in stores. Later that year, he performed in the Gap's Holiday in Your Hood-themed piece Love Gap. In February 2007, Common signed a deal with New Era to promote their new line of layers-fitted caps. Common also stars in a television commercial for the 2008 Lincoln Navigator. He appears in NBA 2K8 in NBA Blacktop mode. In the fall of 2008, Common appeared in an ad for Microsoft's Zune, comparing his new song, Universal Mind Control, to Planet Rock, a song from hip-hop pioneer Afrika Bambaataa. Also, he featured in the Diesel campaign for a new fragrance called Only the Brave. His song B, Intro, is featured in a commercial for BlackBerry as of January 2011. In December 2008, Common launched a new clothing line in partnership with Microsoft titled Software, based on 1980s computing. Writing. Common was invited by First Lady Michelle Obama to appear at a poetry reading on May 11, 2011, at the White House. 62 His poetry was found to be greatly influenced by Maya Angelou's works. This invitation caused furor with the New Jersey State Police and their Union 63, who cited some of Common's previous lyrical content, most notably the song A Song for Assata about Assata Shakur, a member of the Black Liberation Army, and step-aunt of deceased rapper Tupac Shakur, 64, who was convicted in 1977 of the first-degree murder of New Jersey State Trooper Werner Forster. At another poetry reading, Common had stated, "Flyers say free Mumia on my freezer," a reference to Mumia Abu Jamal, who murdered Philadelphia police officer Daniel Faulkner in 1981. Jay Carney, the White House press secretary at the time, stated that President Obama opposed these particular lyrics, but supported what Common stood for more broadly. 65 Common responded by saying, "I guess Sarah Palin and Fox News doesn't like me." 65. On Facebook, he also stated, "The one thing that shouldn't be questioned is my support for the police officers and troops that protect us every day." Common later discussed the matter with Jon Stewart during a September 14, 2011, appearance on Comedy Central's The Daily Show. 66. Common and his mother, Dr. Mahalia Ann Hines, at a 2011 signing for his memoir at the Barnes & Noble in Tribeca, Manhattan. In September 2011, Common published his memoir, One Day It'll All Make Sense, through Atria Books. As the book details how his close relationship with his mother influenced his life, it is partially narrated by her. 67. Common released his second memoir, Let Love Have the Last Word, in May 2019. The book highlights his relationship with his daughter Amoy, romantic relationships, his parents, and his struggle to cement his perspective in the concept of love. 68. Activism. Common is a vegan and he is a supporter of animal rights and PETA. 69. He appeared in a print advertisement for PETA titled Think Before You Eat. 70. And in a documentary titled Holistic Wellness for the Hip Hop Generation where he promoted vegetarianism. 71. Common is also part of the Knowing is Beautiful movement, which supports HIV/AIDS awareness. 70. He is featured in the video for Yes We Can, a song in support of the candidacy of Barack Obama, which made its debut on the internet on February 2, 2008. Common pledged to stop using anti-gay lyrics in his music. 72-73. Common is the founder of the Common Ground Foundation. 74-75. A nonprofit that seeks to empower underprivileged youth to be contributing citizens and strong leaders in the world. The foundation includes programs dedicated to leadership development and empowerment, educational development, creative expression, as well as a book club. In 2014, Common Ground inaugurated the AAHH Fest Music Festival in Chicago's Union Park. 76. After a one-year hiatus, AAHH Fest returned in 2016. 77. But was cancelled 1 week before showtime in 2017. 77. An official announcement stated the fest would return September 15, 2018. 77. In 2017, Common performed concerts in several California prisons, as well as on the grounds of the California State Capitol. 78. This concert tour inspired him to found Imagine Justice, another nonprofit organization. 79. In May 2020, in response to the COVID-19 pandemic, Common launched a social media campaign through Imagine Justice, dubbed #WeMatter2, with dozens of advocacy and activist groups calling attention to the threat that the pandemic poses for incarcerated men and women and intended to create greater public awareness about conditions facing incarcerated populations. 80. The campaign includes the production of short films that will include recordings of inmates expressing their concern about the coronavirus spreading inside prisons. 81. Along with other rappers and activists, Common appeared in the award-winning documentary short film #Bars4Justice, which was shot in Ferguson, Missouri and produced by Nation 19 magazine. 82. Common performed with Andra Day in the opening musical performance for the March for Our Lives anti-gun violence rally in Washington, D.C., on March 24, 2018. 83. He also performed at the 50th anniversary of Martin Luther King's death 84 in Memphis, at an event co-hosted by the labor union Unite Here. Common was later accused of joining anti-union efforts by crossing a Unite Here picket line in Boston. 85. He supported the Kamala Harris 2024 presidential campaign and performed at the 2024 Democratic National Convention. Virginia Elizabeth Geena Davis, born January 21, 1956, is an American actor. She is the recipient of various accolades, including an Academy Award and a Golden Globe Award. Davis made her acting debut in the satirical romantic comedy Tootsie, 1982, and starred in the science fiction horror The Fly, 1986, one of her first box office hits. While the fantasy comedy Beetlejuice, 1988, brought her to prominence, the romantic drama The Accidental Tourist, 1988, earned her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. She established herself as a leading lady with the road film Thelma and Louise, 1991, for which she received a nomination for the Academy Award for Best Actress, and the sports film A League of Their Own, 1992, garnering a Golden Globe Award nomination. However, Davis's roles in the box office failures Cutthroat Island, 1995, and The Long Kiss Goodnight, 1996, both directed by then-husband Rennie Harlin, were followed by a lengthy break and downturn in her career.
Davis starred as the adoptive mother of the title character in the Stuart Little franchise, 1999 to 2005, and as the first female president of the United States in the television series Commander-in-Chief, 2005 to 2006, winning the Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, Television Series Drama for her role in the latter. Her later films include Accidents Happen, 2009, and Marjorie Prime, 2017. She has portrayed the recurring role of Dr. Nicole Herman in Grey's Anatomy, 2014 to 2015, 2018, and that of Regan McNeil/Angela Rance in the first season of the horror television series The Exorcist, 2016. In 2004, Davis launched the Geena Davis Institute on Gender in Media, which works collaboratively with the entertainment industry to increase the presence of female characters in media. Through the organization, she launched the annual Bentonville Film Festival in 2015, and executive produced the documentary This Changes Everything in 2018. Davis received the Jean Hersholt Humanitarian Award in 2019 and the Governor's Award in 2022. Early life and education. Geena Davis was born on January 21, 1956, in Wareham, Massachusetts. To her mother, Lucille, née Cook, was a teacher's assistant, and her father, William F. Davis, was a civil engineer and church deacon. Both were from small towns in Vermont. Davis has an older brother, Danforth,